name's Danny Bayne. I play Basil in Fawlty Towers, and Basil essentially is a hotelier that hates hotel guests. That's the long and short of it. And then everything else in his life, he's a married man. He's married to a lady called Sybil. Neither of them can stand each other, but neither of them will leave each other, and they run the hotel together. And then there's Polly and Manuel and all of the madness that ensues in the hotel with all of the guests, all of whom Basil can't stand.
Yeah. And then obviously the sitcom's a classic, but what kind of drew you to want to be part of the stage adaptation?
Well, I think it's not something that you can say no to, in my opinion. It's written so well. It's so brilliant that the script does 90% of the heavy lifting. And obviously my childhood, I'm 38, but my childhood, it was always on, Only Fools and Horses, which funnily enough was my previous job, and Fawlty Towers were always on in my house, constantly, if my mother wasn't watching soaps. It was always on. I think Basil lives a bit in all of us anyway, especially when people annoy you.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't react in the same explosive manner that Basil does, But I was doing a part in it anyway. I was playing a character called Mr. Walt. And then I was understudying Basil originally. And then for the following cast, which was coming back to the West End, and John Cleese himself, the lovely legend that he is, came to see the show when I was on.
Yeah.
And then I ended up being cast as Basil after that. So that was, amazing. And you can't say no to John Cleese. Come on now.
No, yeah.
And it's, you know what? I spent my early part of my career playing romantic leads, which are wonderful parts, but they're not stretching. They're more stretching for your voice or something. They're not in terms of character, And this is it's a challenge. It's a challenge. The book is this thick, and every line is yours. So it was a real challenge. It's a challenge to do something so physically comical, and I love a challenge. Like whenever I'm not certain if I can do something, it makes me have to do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And obviously John Cleese has adapted it himself. That must be kind of reassuring. And I did see the tweet that he put out the other couple of days
Yes.
ago that he said that you're now funnier than him. So that must be like validation for you.
Yeah. That was to be honest, that was a thing. I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah.
It was a really, really, really lovely thing to hear. And it made my wife cry, and so that was really cool. My wife's amazing. She's in the business. She's phenomenal, and so that was a really nice thing. Yes, as you say, it was a validation. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, it was. It really was, because let's be honest, there's only one Basil Fawlty, and that is John Cleese. And we are merely a version of what came before. As much as we do our absolute best, and I mean by myself and the whole cast. We are a real team. We really club together. So we're really proud of the show, and we're proud that he's proud of the show, and that he put all of that work and effort into writing this genius sitcom that has transcended generations now, that people still find funny, which is magical and so difficult to do, and so that's, it's really, really lovely. I'm really, really proud of it, and I'm really proud of everybody involved, to be honest.
And then how do you navigate the kind of pressure? Obviously, the audience, like you say, some certainly come in probably expecting you to be John Cleese, don't they? They expect that kind of mirror copy. But
Yeah.
And
Do you know what? I've had this in other jobs before. My first ever gig was Danny Zuko in Greece. And I'm not silly enough to know that people are coming to watch John Travolta.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're getting Danny Bayne doing a version of, and I'm not silly enough to think that it's about me. It's not. It's always about the audience and servicing the audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And serving the audience. So my job is to give them my interpretation of Basil. but I also know that they want to see John Cleese do Basil. But
Yeah,
sadly, John Cleese is 85. Do
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
However, he's still very, very on it. We did so much work with him, and at no point did he ever ask me to do anything remotely like an impression, which was so kind, because he's not putting any pressure on you.
Yeah.
He just wants your take on him, on Basil. And once you get given all the information, ex-army, blah, 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 you get given so much information about him when we first start rehearsing that what comes out is essentially what John did. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it affects knowing he's ex-army, it affects your posture, how you stand, clipping your heels together, all sorts of stuff, which actually makes sense. His treatment by his father, why he treats other people a certain way, it's a, like I say, all of the work, well, the majority of the work is done for you, and then the show is the exhausting last part. Do you know what I mean? But we love it, and we're a real team, and we all group together, and our job is to make yourself and the other audience members, wherever we are in the country, laugh, and have a little bit, 2 hours of escapism and a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? That's our job.
Yeah, yeah. And then, as you say, it's quite a physically demanding role, I suppose, especially that kind of latter half of the second act. But how do you kind of maintain that physicality for 8 shows a week?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm quite lucky in that my past is in dancing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I used to train under Len Goodman. For lots of people remember Len because of Strictly, but Len was my sort of dance teacher for many years when I was young. So I really was a dancer early doors in my life, and so that sort of physical fitness stuff has never been too much of an issue for me. But now I am a father of a 2.5-year-old, so I sleep less than I used to. I now don't really dance too much anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now, by the end of the week, as much as I do my best, I have my eating plan, I have all the stuff. But by the end of the week, I am a shadow of a man. I am falling apart with pains and niggles everywhere. But we have a physiotherapist on a Friday. She comes in, gives us a little seeing to, and that sounds ominous, but she gives us a little seeing to, and yeah, she's terrific and looks after us, and the company look after us. We're really lucky.
Yeah, yeah. And for obviously people who don't know, it kind of blends kind of free stories from the TV show, doesn't it? It's kind of free
Yes,
shows. Kind of
yes.
how's that work for you? Kind of getting to do that in one, I suppose.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, as you say, when you first look at the script, it's quite daunting thinking how much work there is because but it's the same with any show, really. When you look at a script and the book is that thick, you're like,
Yeah, no.
but day by day, bit by bit, you just do your work, and it's been knitted together in such a gorgeous way. You can't see you know what I mean? I mean, you've seen it. You
Yeah.
can't see the links. Do you know what I mean? It's been knitted together beautifully. Of course, it has by John. And so it's not difficult. It's tiring. It's exhausting. But our job is not to let you know we're exhausted and tired. Our job is to make you laugh. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully, and we seem to be relatively successful in that so far. So that's good. It's really fun.
And obviously, I know you in your previous role, but you also did the TV version, didn't you, as well? Kind of that must have been fun to kind of get to kind of almost meta, isn't it? Kind of the play
TV
being
version of
the play. You in
Oh,
the
yes,
TV?
of
Yeah,
course. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. That's on Amazon and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, wherever it's on now, TV. And yes, of course. Yeah, as Mr. Walt. And that was lovely. That was great. That was a really exciting time as well, because it was sort of coming towards the end of the first run in the West End. And we got all that news. It was really exciting. And Adam, who played Basil then, he did such a marvelous job. And, it was the end of the run. We were all so exhausted, but it was quite sort of a
Yeah.
bump of excitement, towards the end of the show, and it seems to have done really well. So that's terrific. But I must say, there is nothing like the feeling in the theatre. Watching, like, one of my best friends was in the original cast of Hamilton, which is on Disney and stuff.
Yeah.
Anthony, and it's marvelous. on the telly. It's brilliant, but that feeling live in the theatre when the music rumbles and it sort of, you know, vibrates your chair. And the same thing here when you're with one person you love and they're laughing, that's great. When you're in amongst 2,000 Liverpool, 2,500 people all laughing, it's like being at a stand-up gig, you know. It's like that infectious feeling that only you can get in a theatre, you know. And I love the fact that with touring we get to bring shows to people rather than them having to schlep all the way to London all the time, you know. So we can make things a little more cost effective for people, which, you know, I, as a father and a mortgage and you know all the stuff, I understand what that means for a lot of people, and it's important, and it's lovely that we get to take it everywhere, you know, so everyone gets a chance to see it, which is terrific.
And then to flip the tables, if you could ask Basil a question, what do you think you'd want to ask him about his life?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't want to brush over that. That's a really good question. What would I want to ask Basil? Well, I had a little bit of information about him and his father, so I'd like to ask him a little bit more information about his relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
Because, you know, our relationships with our parents inform us so much in later life. And then we either grow up to be really great because of them, or we grow up needing therapy because of them. Yeah. But either way, you know. So I'd love that. And I suppose I'd love to know why he's still with Sybil, because they both have such they don't detest each other, but they just have such dislike for each other and disdain for each other that I would like to know why they're still together. However, I want them to stay together because the show's really funny.
Yes.
And the relationship is very, very funny. So yeah, a couple of things, yeah.
Marvelous. My final question for you then, simply, what would you hope someone takes away from seeing Fawlty Towers, the play?
I've said this a million times, and I think I've said it to you already today, but my main thing is I don't care age or, you know, life experience or whatever. I just want people to come and have a couple of hours of escapism, laughter, forget about real life issues, and we've all got them, of course we have, but, you know, forget about real life issues, forget about drama, forget about anything, and just come, enjoy, escape 2 hours of fun and laughter. That is all I care about. That is my job. My job and our job is to give you that gift. Do you know what I mean? You've paid for the price of the ticket for wherever it is you've sat. And my job, whether you're up in the gods or whether you're down in the house seats, is my job is to give you, and our job is to give you 2 hours of something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make you feel good, make you leave the theatre wanting to talk about it, thinking, should we see that again when that's in the next town? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Have a good time. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Brilliant. That captures it brilliant. As I say, it is superb. I would highly recommend everyone checking it out if you haven't already. It's touring until August the 1st next year, so plenty of time for everyone to catch it.
Yeah.
And
Danny, thank you so much, bud.
Thank you so much.